independent from France altogether and says this is now Haiti, which is actually what the natives called it before Columbus ever showed up. And in their language, it means mountainous land. So he became the first emperor of Haiti and later assassinated in a revolt, unfortunately, because that's just a little key in. If you look at this here, 1820, Haiti becomes an independent republic with democratic elections. That's 16 years after it became an independent country. To give you a really quick idea, some people say, well, why do we need to learn this? Well, the fact of the matter is just because it's a very chaotic, tumultuous country that's got a lot of problems, a lot of natural disasters, a lot of economic issues, they still stood up for the fact that no man, an Enlightenment idea that no man should be owned by another man, right? No slavery. They stood up for their rights and they won. They won. That's the amazing thing about it. They are a country made up of slaves that beat off their European leaders. Amazing, right? Amazing stuff. So anyway, let's keep going. Now we got to get into the Spanish colonies down in South America, okay? So, who's your baby? So he'll give you his ideas in a little bit. Baby. This is very sleepy. Rufio, can you give me howdy? Howdy. Come on, you're making yourself look bad. Howdy. Give me howdy. That's my boy. That's a good boy. Anyway, now we got to talk about the Spanish colonies down in South America, right? Now, a lot of this has actually a lot more to do with social class struggle and self-identification, okay? Now, let's get right into it. So, Latin American social classes look like this. Take a second to draw it. Pause it right here if you need to so you can draw this whole thing. So go ahead and pause. Now let's get into it. Now, anyway, so Peninsulares up here at the top, the very, very tip of this social class triangle. If you actually look at this, what does this vaguely look like? Exactly right. Polish prodigy, Isabella. Good job. It looks a lot like feudalism, right? Now, and Ryan Bauer, I heard you over there. I got it. I know you're right, okay? Most of these people don't even live in these colonies, so it's actually setting up a big revolution. So the Peninsulares are actually European-born, plantation-owning white people. Most of them live back in Europe. Big problem. They own all the money. They own all the wealth. They listen to the Spanish crown, right? So this is the Spanish colonies. We're not talking about France anymore. This is the Spanish colonies, right? Now, anyway, so these are white, European-born. Then you got the Creoles down here, a step below them. They are born in Latin America, full-on white people, okay? So now this is where I'm coming in with the self-identification thing. They see themselves more now as South Americans, not so much as Europeans, but yet much like the Americans did. Americans, i.e. Thomas Paine, common sense, we are Americans. We have been here for 200 years. We are no longer British, right? So that's the Creoles. Then you've got these two down here, which we've talked about before, the mulattoes, the mestizos. You know what they are. Mulattoes is a mixture of African and white, and then mestizo is a mixture of native and white. And then you have your slaves and natives down here. So the main problem with this social class system is that it's not tangible and it's not going to survive for forever. It doesn't make any sense because you know what? If you've got these two mixed races, but wait a minute, what if a Creole marries a mestizo? Then where does he go? But what if a mulatto marries a Peninsularian? Then where do they go? Where do those children go? What are they? And that's going to lead to a lot of social class struggles as seen in this pasta painting from the 1800s. So it was a very traumatic era during the Spanish colonies because they tried to subjugate everybody no matter what. Like so much to the point that you can actually see, like for example, this right here is a white mother and a mestizo father and their children. Where do they go? Oh, well, apparently they go in this rung of society. But what about these people down here? This is a fully native person and then a mestizo parent. Where do they go? Oh, apparently they go in this rung, third rung all the way down here. Created a lot of huge problems. So much to the point that there were actually some people over in excuse me, what was I about to say? I completely forgot what I was about to say. There were actually some people over in I'll come back to it. Anyway, so this became a huge issue due to the fact that everybody was like trying to subjugate themselves. Oh, what I was getting at, I actually got to talk about it in a second when I get to Simón Bolívar. Give me a sec. All right, anyway, now, so, and of course, again, who ruins everything? Tubby, angry fat boy right here by this point in the era. So, as you can tell, this is not young, strapping, cool Napoleon that took over in 1799. This is Napoleonic Wars Napoleon, stressed out, getting kind of tubby, wears pants that are a little bit too tight. You need to calm it down. All right, anyway, now, so This is the European background on Napoleon, right? Now, Napoleon invaded Spain in 1808 during his Napoleonic Wars, where he was trying to create one giant unified European continent. So, when he got into Spain in 1808, he deposed the King Ferdinand VII, and he said, I don't trust you to rule this country anymore. I'm only going to trust my brother-in-law. So this is actually, no, not my brother. Was it brother-in-law or is it his actual brother? I think it's his actual brother. Now, anyway, so it's his brother, and he made him king. His name was King Joseph. And one really, really gross, creepy thing about his family, he only ever trusted people in his family to do anything for him. That's why, actually, so his wife, Marie Josephine, actually he named her, well, Marie Rose, he made her change her name to Josephine because he was weird. She had a daughter from another marriage and forced that daughter to marry his brother. And she was like 14 and he was 40. So that's really, really nasty. He keeps it in the family a little too much. Now, anyway, so the Creoles are going to use this as a chance for their revolution because they know that the Spaniards and the Peninsulares are ridiculously distracted by what's going on back in their home country. They've got to try and pull all this military out to go fight Napoleon. They got no time to take care of these colonies. That is basically, when you ask the Spaniards, just a giant piggy bank, right? So anyway, now, in 1810, rebellions are going to break out all over Latin America. So much to the point that right here, Francisco Goya, now he is a Spanish citizen, Spanish painter. If you get bored, go ahead and look up another painting, a very, very famous one of his. It's called Saturn Eating His Children. It's a little creepy looking, but you'll like it, I promise. Now, anyway, this is actually the executions of May 3rd. This is the savagery and the reason why Spain began to pull all of those troops out to go fight Napoleon. Because in May 3rd in 1808, so when Napoleon showed up in 1807, he was pretty much just walked right into Spain. No one even opposed him in 1807. So when he got to Madrid, the Spanish began to finally fight back. And that's all the way in the central area of Spain. That's way far into their country. So he began rounding up Spanish citizens from the ages of about 18 to 30, guys that could fight against him, and he just had them executed. He would just have them shot via firing squad. And so, this savagery is going to lead to a lot of the Napoleonic Wars pulling their forces out. By 1820, there was only 10,000 Spanish forces left in an entire continent. That is so limited numbers compared to the number of people that are native born. So, as you can see, this is going to be successful eventually. But at first, it didn't start out that way. So much to the point that this guy had to take over and lead them to success. His name is Simon Bolivar. So just imagine, y'all know Fernando Silva, right? Imagine him in his deep Spanish accent saying Simon Bolivar. So anyway, but he was a wealthy Venezuelan Creole known as the Liberator. So anyway, now some of y'all are asking yourselves, wait a minute, Venezuelan? How is he Venezuelan if there's not even a Venezuelan country yet? Well, if you notice a map of South America, let me go all the way back really quick. Give it a minute. If I go all the way back to the very, very beginning of this. You'd think it'd go a little bit faster. All right, anyway. So, if you look at this right here, Venezuela